What if the figure you've been taught to imagine with white wings and a flaming sword is not a person at all, but a language? What if guardian angel is the name our ancestors gave to a form of guidance that speaks in dreams, patterns, and perfectly timed interruptions? An intelligence older than any religion, using symbols as its alphabet and your attention as its doorway. Most people expect guidance to arrive as a voice from the clouds. In truth, it more often appears as a sudden certainty to turn left instead of right, a book that falls open to the exact line you needed, an encounter that bends your life by a few degrees and changes everything downstream. The ancients wrapped this phenomenon in story. Wings for swiftness, halos for luminosity, swords for discernment. But behind the costume is a principal contact between the everyday mind and a higher ordering field. In this video, we're going to peel away the feathers without losing the mystery. We'll explore how cultures describe the same presence with different names, why angel originally meant messenger, and how that messenger actually delivers through inner impressions, synchronicity, and shifts in probability that nudge your path. We'll ask bold questions. Is guidance external, internal, or both? Does it guard you by preventing harm, or by educating your perception so you can navigate fate with skill? And most importantly, how do you become readable to it so that its signals stop feeling random and start feeling like conversation? Expect 3 layers. First, the historical and philosophical roots, from temple visions to hermetic manuals and the hidden psychology behind guardian myths. Second, a clear model of how guidance communicates, the channels it prefers, the signatures it leaves, and the common mistakes that make us miss it. Third, practical techniques to tune your inner instruments so you can test, verify, and build a working relationship with the intelligence that has been quietly trying to reach you all along. When the costume falls, the light remains. Ready to meet the messenger without the wings? Say the word. Before wings, there was a word, messenger. In Hebrew, malach means exactly that. In Greek, angelos is the same. The ancients were less concerned with feathers than with function. A messenger moves between realms, translating the will of a higher order into the language of human circumstance. This is why, in scripture and myth, angels appear in dreams, at crossroads, in thresholds, places where one world brushes another. Greece called these mediators daimons. Not demons in the later sense, but personal guides of fate and character. Socrates spoke of his daimonion, a silent restraint that warned, do not. Rome carried a similar idea in the genius, the tutelary presence that accompanies a person, a city, or an art. In Egypt and the Hermetic texts, the guide becomes mind itself. In the Poimandras, the luminous nous reveals the order of things and the way to ascend through it. The figure changes masks. The function remains the same: interpretation, orientation, passage. In the Near East, Zoroastrian tradition described the Fravashi, pre-existent guardian spirits that protect, inspire, and recall the soul to its original vow. The Book of Daniel speaks of watchers, custodians of nations and epochs. Later, Christian mystics systematized the unseen. Pseudo-Dionysius sketched the celestial hierarchy not as bureaucracy but as a cascade of transmission. Seraphim inflame, cherubim illuminate, angels execute. Thomas Aquinas, more philosopher than hagiographer, argued that each human life is assigned an angelic intellect at birth, not as a bodyguard but as pedagogue, one who instructs freedom toward its end. Islamic wisdom affirms the same architecture. The Quran speaks of angels set before and behind, guarding by divine command. Sufi masters call the whisper of true guidance ilham, inspiration that ripens the heart's intelligence. The mysterious figure of Qaidar appears to prophets and seekers as an initiator who violates appearances to teach reality. Again the pattern, a higher intelligence bends events into lessons. In Jewish Kabbalah, angels are not merely personalities but functions, currents within the 10 sefirot, forms of the divine will that become forces in the world. Metatron becomes the face of ordered intelligence. The bat call, the daughter of the voice, is not a person but a resonance that answers when the mind is quiet enough to ask. Here the guardian is a structure of meaning, and protection is alignment with it. When the Renaissance reopened the vault of Hermetic and angelic arts, the holy guardian angel took center stage. Grimoires like the Book of Abramelin aimed at the knowledge and conversation of one's personal guide. A contact prized above all other operations because it set every subsequent act under correct governance. The Golden Dawn and later esoteric orders kept the core intuition. There is a sovereign intelligence that knows your pattern better than your conscious mind, and relationship with it is the axis of the work. Eastern traditions echo the chord. Hindu teachings speak of the antaryaman, the inner controller, and of *Idavada*, the chosen form through which the Absolute tutors the soul. Buddhism's Dharmapalas are protectors not of bodies but of practice, turning the practitioner back to the path when habit wanders. Modern depth psychology offers a final bridge. Jung named the phenomenon synchronicity, and met his own inner guide as Philemon, an autonomous intelligence that corrected his thought and widened his vision. He did not collapse this into fantasy. He treated it as a mode of knowing in which psyche and world mirror a shared order. Across civilizations, the guardian is less a character than a principle, a mediating intelligence that organizes chance into instruction. In esoteric practice, the question is not, do angels exist? But, how does guidance function? And how do we learn its language? When that is answered, the icon can change. The conversation continues. Let's build a working map. Imagine 3 layers. First, the field, a higher ordering intelligence, the luminous architecture hermeticists called nous. Second, the messenger, the way that intelligence interfaces with an individual pattern. Traditions named it daimon, genius, holy guardian angel. Third, the receiver, your attention, imagination, conscience, and body. Guidance is not a cartoon figure whispering in your ear. It is a conversation between field and receiver through the personalized bridge of the messenger. How does the conversation happen? Through channels subtle but learnable. 1. Image. The oldest channel is the imaginal. Dreams, sudden inner pictures, symbols that arrive with their own weight. This is not daydreaming. It is visitation. True guidance images carry coherence. They are simple, archetypal, and memorable. They do not flatter. They instruct. A recurring key, a locked gate, a child by water. These are not riddles to be decoded by superstition but invitations to relationship. Ask me what I point to. The imaginal is the angel's native tongue because symbols compress a library into a single image. 2. Pattern. Jung named the second channel synchronicity, meaningful coincidence that stitches inner state to outer event. Guidance arranges probability like a chess player setting the board 3 moves ahead. You think of a question. The phrase appears on a billboard. You change course at the last moment. The person you needed is standing there. Pattern is the angel's handwriting in the world. 3. Direction. The third channel is bodily intelligence, a quiet settling or a clean refusal that appears beneath thought. It is the green light of ease or the check that says not this, not now. True direction is calm, nearly impersonal. Panic imitates it loudly, but the signature of guidance is clarity without adrenaline. For voice, there is also a cognitive channel, a line of thought that feels given, arriving whole, luminous, and spare. It is not a stream of arguments. It is a single sentence that reorganizes the room. Call her now. Leave it on the table. Speaks once with precision and withdraws. 5. Friction. Finally, there is negative guidance. Unopened doors, delays, sudden obstacles that spare you from lesser paths or immature timing. We call it bad luck. Not seeing that protection often wears the face of interruption. The guardian is a pedagogue more than a lifeguard. It educates your destiny by pruning detours. All 5 channels share a grammar, a feel. First, non-coercion. Guidance invites, it does not shove. Second, minimal charge. It comes with stillness, not frenzy. Third, recurrence. It will echo across unrelated domains. Dream, conversation, street sign until acknowledged. Hermetic workers use a simple rule of 3. When the same signal appears thrice through independent channels, act. But what about self-deception? The easiest counterfeit is desire dressed as revelation. Here the signatures diverge. Fantasy argues for itself and promises shortcuts. Guidance asks for responsibility and often a small sacrifice of ego. Fantasy inflates, guidance enlarges. After true contact, the heart feels cleaner and more capable, even if the instruction is difficult. After fantasy, there is agitation and a hunger for more validation. Is the messenger inside or outside? Both and neither. Think of it like music transmitted through a radio. The field is the broadcast, the messenger is your personal frequency, and your psyche is the receiver. Improve the receiver and the same room that once sounded like static begins to carry symphonies. This is why saints, artists, and scientists, people with refined attention, report similar textures of instruction though their theologies differ. What, then, does a guardian actually do? It doesn't overwrite your life. It vectors it. Picture an arrow drawn through your biography, your true line. Each day, choices add velocity either toward that arrow or away from it. The guardian supplies vector, direction, and meaning. You supply force, consent, courage, craft. Protection is not the removal of challenge. It is the alignment that turns challenge into curriculum. The more you align, the more the world seems to bend to meet you. Less because fate is being edited. More because your steps harmonize with an order already present. One last nuance. Guidance respects freedom. It will not violate another's will on your behalf, and it will not collaborate with harm. Ask for an omen to humiliate a rival and the line goes silent. Not because nothing is there, but because the conversation has left its domain. The messenger's jurisdiction is truth, growth, service, and the elegant shaping of chance toward those ends. With this map, field, messenger, receiver, 5 channels, the grammar of signs, we can now go deeper into practice and paradox. Why signals sometimes contradict, how to test them, and what guardian means when chaos hits. Contradictions are part of the curriculum. Signals rarely disagree. We hear across layers without realizing it. Think of guidance as polyphonic music. One line speaks to timing, another to direction, another to method. Leave may be a direction. Not yet may be a timing instruction. If you collapse them into one, you'll feel torn. To untangle, ask, is this about where, when, or how? Often, the message divides cleanly the moment you name its layer. Another source of conflict is echo versus instruction. An echo is resonance from your own unintegrated desire or fear, amplified by the imaginal. It repeats compulsively and escalates pressure. Instruction arrives, rings true, and then recedes. If you chase it for more drama, you get static. The corrective is humility. Accept one clear step, take it, and wait for the next bar of music. Why do signals sometimes lead into difficulty? Because a guardian is an initiator, not a concierge. When the path requires a skill you do not yet possess, guidance will route you through a situation that forges it. The alchemists called this the via difficilia, the harder road that is secretly shorter because it builds capacity you'll need later. Protection is not bubble wrap. It is right exposure at the right dose. There is also a severe face of the messenger, the wrestling angel, Saturn's pedagogy. You meet it when patterns repeat across years with increasing intensity. The same type of betrayal, the same money crisis, the same creative blockage. Severity is not punishment. It is escalation meant to make the lesson unmistakable. If you ignore a whisper, you get a nudge. Ignore the nudge, you meet the wall. The wall is merciful because it ends drift. Is the guardian personal or archetypal? Both. The personal aspect knows your biography intimately and speaks in your private symbolism. Your grandmother's perfume, a line from a childhood book. The archetypal aspect represents a function of cosmic order, discernment, courage, truthful speech, and can appear through many masks. In different seasons, the same guardian may wear different vestments. Healer in grief, strategist in vocation, keeper of vows in love. The personality shifts. The function persists. There are collective messengers as well, what Rome called genius loci and modern esotericists call egregores. A city, a craft, even a movement has a guiding intelligence that shapes the choices of those who consent to serve it. Enter a cathedral of mathematics or music and you feel its atmosphere instructing you. This is why alignment matters. If you bind yourself to a shallow current, a cult of personality, a market frenzy, you invite guidance of that quality. Choose your tutelage as you would choose your friends. By what they make of you. Fate and freedom are not enemies. They are warp and weft. Your true line is the warp, fixed threads of temperament, gift, and appointed encounters. Freedom is the weft, the daily crossing of choices that can beautify, distort, or delay the pattern. Guidance operates at the junction. It cannot annul the warp, but it can show you where to throw the weft so the design emerges with elegance. Synchronicity is the felt sign that warp and weft have caught each other. How do you test the source? 3 touchstones. Coherence. Does the message integrate with truth you already know at a higher level? Ethics, compassion, reality testing? Guidance never asks you to abandon conscience. Cost. Does the step require some relinquishment of ego comfort? Admitting error, delaying gratification, telling a hard truth? Real instruction usually carries a small cross. Consequence. After acting, does your inner weather clear? Even if outcomes are messy, there is an unmistakable sense of inner rightness, a widening of horizon. If instead you feel contracted and agitated, pause. Names, seals, and invocations are addresses, not idols. Traditions give forms. Michael for courage, Gabriel for message, Raphael for healing. Not to freeze the mystery into characters, but to focus attention toward a function. If such forms help you concentrate, use them. If they distract you into theatricality, lay them down. The messenger answers to sincerity more than ceremony. In the digital age, the field still speaks, but the noise floor has risen. Algorithms mimic synchronicity by reflecting your clicks. Beware the counterfeit sign, manufactured by your own confirmation bias. The antidote is the rule of independence. Require the triad inner image, outer pattern, and calm direction, arising from unrelated streams before you crown a coincidence as guidance. Finally, remember the paradox of missed guidance. If you ignore a true instruction, the path reroutes, sometimes through friction, sometimes through grace. The field is patient. It will meet you at the next intersection with a version of the lesson scaled to current conditions. This is why despair is unnecessary. You cannot ruin your destiny by a single mistake. You can only lengthen your apprenticeship. And even that lengthening becomes material for wisdom, the messenger's last secret. Whatever you give it, even error, it will turn into guidance. Here is a field manual, simple, exact, testable. 1. Daily tuning, 10 minutes. Sit upright. 3 slow breaths. In through the nose, out through the mouth. Place one hand on the sternum to anchor attention. Name out loud the day's virtue. Clarity, courage, patience, or truthfulness. This selects the function you wish the messenger to amplify. Then ask one clean question for the next 24 hours. No more, what would align me with my true line today? Close with a quiet, I consent to instruction. 2. Dream incubation, night practice. Before sleep, write your single question on paper. Place the page under your pillow or on the nightstand. Speak a simple formula once. Teacher of my life, instruct me in symbols I can understand. On waking, record whatever fragments you recall. Image, color, emotion, phrase. Do not interpret yet. Let the images accumulate for 3 days. Patterns ripen with time. 3. The signal log, ongoing. Keep a small notebook. Divide each entry into 3 columns. Image, inner symbols, dreams, pattern, outer coincidences, direction, body yes/no, or a precise inner sentence. Note date and context. Use the rule of 3. When the same theme lands in at least 2 columns and recurs from independent sources, treat it as actionable. 4. Body compass calibration, 5 minutes. Stand or sit neutrally. Say a true, neutral statement. My name is your name. Feel the baseline. Now say a false statement. My name is not your name. Notice the microshift, tightening, leaning, breath catch. Ask your day's question in yes/no form and observe which signature appears. The compass grows reliable with repetition. Never use it when highly charged or sleep-deprived. 5. Threshold pause, micro-ritual. At doorways to important contexts, A meeting, a call, an audition, pause for one breath. Internally, may I serve the highest outcome. Show me what I need to notice. This primes perception for messenger cues already present in the room. 6. Testing the source, the 3 T's. Before acting on a signal, check coherence. Does it fit your higher ethics and reality? Cost. Does it ask a small ego sacrifice? Consequence. Imagining the step. Does your inner weather clear? If 2 of 3 are strong, proceed with a small, reversible experiment rather than a leap. 7. The elegant step. Acting without drama. Guidance speaks in next steps, not 5-year plans. Take the smallest faithful action that embodies the instruction. Send the email, decline the offer, set the boundary, book the hour for study. Then stop. Do not immediately seek a second sign. Let results report back. 8. Weekly review, 30 minutes. Once a week, reread your signal log. Circle recurring motifs. Ask 3 clarifying questions. Is this about where, when, or how? What capacity is this situation trying to train? What sacrifice of comfort would align me with truth here? Translate insights into one concrete action for the coming week. 9. Noise hygiene. Reduce counterfeit signs by lowering the noise floor. Choose one window each day, perhaps the first waking hour, without feeds, headlines, or notifications. If a signal arrives during high emotion, impose the 24-hour compost rule. Write it down, do nothing, recheck when calm. 10. Ethical pact. Make a simple vow. I will not ask for guidance to harm, coerce, or feed vanity. I will ask for alignment, service, and truth. This pact sharpens reception. The field speaks most clearly where conscience is honored. Common obstacles and remedies. Impatience? Shrink the step. Self-deception? Invite a trusted friend to reflect what they observe, but only after you've logged your own read. Fear of mistakes? Remember, paths reroute. Your task is sincerity plus iteration. Run a 30-day experiment in one life domain, health, craft, relationship, or study. Using these steps, track outcomes. You are training a language. Fluency arrives by conversation, not conquest. Strip away the feathers and the halo, and what remains is not less miraculous. It is more usable. Guardian Angel names a living grammar of guidance, a field of higher order, a personalized messenger that bridges it, and a receiver, your trained attention capable of conversation. The channels are simple and ancient. Image in the imaginal, pattern in synchronicity, direction in the body's quiet yes/no, voice as a single lucid sentence, and friction as protective interruption. Their shared signature is non-coercive, steady, recurrent. Their counterfeits are noisy, flattering, and urgent. You've learned the map and the tests. Coherence with your highest ethics. Cost that trims the ego. Consequence that clears the inner weather. You've met the paradoxes, timing versus direction, echo versus instruction, and the remedy of humility. Act on the next faithful step, then listen again. You've received a field manual, daily tuning, dream incubation, the signal log, the body compass, threshold pauses, weekly review, noise hygiene, and an ethical pact to convert wonder into practice. The promise is not a life without challenge. The promise is a life where challenge becomes curriculum because you are aligned with your true line. Fate provides the warp. Your choices weave the weft. Guidance meets you at the intersection and shows where to throw the thread so the design appears with elegance. So begin. For 30 days, pick one domain, health, craft, relationship, study, and hold one clean question. Keep your log. Honor the rule of 3. Take the smallest honest step. Let the world answer back. If you miss a signal, do not dramatize. Routes recalc. If you get one right, do not boast. Continue the conversation. Tonight, before sleep, write your question and ask to be taught in symbols you can understand. Tomorrow, pause at the doorway and request the highest outcome. This is not theater. It is apprenticeship to a real intelligence that has waited patiently for you to become readable. The messenger may never show you wings. It will show you a way. Ask once. Act once. Listen always. and watch as coincidence begins to speak your name.